Yeah, sure helps if I add us to the stream, doesn't it?
Okay, quick question.
Yeah. Hit me.
Did Sci-Fi Brony also make our ship into an animated ship?
Yes. He down-resed our ship, to make it look animated.
Sci-Fi Brony, you genius.
It's so fun.
That looked so good.
Yeah, it's really, really fun. Thank you.
Hi,
Thank you, Sci-Fi Brony. Hi, everybody.
Listen, we did the original series. Do you mean the animated series? Oh, no, wait.
It's called
TOS.
It's called TAS.
Phil,
That's its shortening.
I was trying to sass you, and you already sassed me, and I didn't catch your sass. I tried to throw it back, and I hit myself in the face. Like whenever you throw something out the front of the car, and you stick your head out the window, and it comes back and it slaps you. Or like when I used to smoke cigarettes back in the day. Kids don't smoke. And like you'd ash out the window, and the ash would fly into the back seat and hit somebody. It was like one of those.
You cannot resass the sasser. No sass backs. That's what I've heard.
Sorry about that.
Hello, Skywalking through Neverland. Ooh. Welcome to the live show for the first time. Neverland. These are our faces. That is Danae's. This is Ian's.
Oh my god. Okay, so this might be true, Eights, but some people, I won't tell you exactly who, sometimes bring their children to the show. Okay. They are fine. It's fine. It's a mature thing. Okay, quick. I'm glad you already know the truth. I love you, Slab. Oh, I can put some music on. Today will be
music me.
Today will be a strange one. I gotta turn this down. Because I might be interrupted multiple times during the show.
First interruption.
First interruption's happening right now. Which was not one that was expected. I have somebody coming over to check on my air conditioner unit, and I'm expecting a phone call that I have to answer, and it might be at any point. So, oh, Slab, you missed it. That's okay. I was just giving you some say-yes. That's fine. So, Ian, sit down. Ian! That's right. Get him. So welcome to the live taping. Does that still bother you?
No, not at all. No, taping is fine.
Oh, do you mean just got the show? Oh my god, it's another Sarah.
Wait, another Sarah? Oh no, we now have 3 Sarahs? Do you know how insane it's going to be when other Sarah... No, I don't want to call her other Sarah. When one of the many Sarahs...
There's 2 Sarahs here now. We should say like...
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have sound.
The third one.
Wait, what?
We didn't have sound?
Wait, does Ian have sound?
Oh, when you leave,
yes.
You take my sound with you.
Oh, shit.
So don't leave.
Oh, man.
That's so funny. Yeah. Yes, because we're all going through Danae's situation. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's address a couple things real quick because chat's hopping and I want to say hi to everybody. I won't leave again. Now I know. Thank you for telling us about this. Let us know about our volume, how this show sounds. This is I'm gonna mute him. Okay. And so I did mute you, Ian.
Wait, can you wait, I have power.
This is when the chaos of the show is in full effect before we try to buckle down and actually record the podcast portion of the program. So we chat with you guys here at the beginning, answer questions, interact, all that stuff. Then we do the live show podcast part, and then we come back and chat a bit at the end. And so are you now Sarah also? I have so many. Hi, Ruthie. Hi. Embrace the chaos indeed. I know. Look at that. Throw something at Ian? Okay.
No, I have cat. No, throw it. No. You hit the cat.
Yeah, we have a new animal story happening right now. Like,
this is the murder bunny.
Listen, it was just a hair tie. It's just a hair tie. It's just very fluffy hair tie. It's nothing. Look, it's
yeah.
I mean, it's something, but it's
cat's got a black eye.
Oh my god, that is the cat killer.
That's the one.
The cat killer.
Yeah, just sculpt up. He's now he's licking himself in the corridor.
You might be the only Jim.
You're the only Jim that I know of.
We don't know.
Damn it, Jim.
So please tell us how the audio sounds. This is an R-rated show, so keep that in mind. We want to say thank you to those who are watching this later on YouTube or on Twitch, where it lives for a couple of weeks. It lives forever on YouTube. You can find it on CSPN, that's YouTube, CinemaSins Podcast Network channel. There are people watching from all of those locations, so you can join the chats wherever they are. You have a oh no, Slab. I'll be ditching you guys. 1,500 word research paper on World War II propaganda.
Weak.
Wednesday night, and you're only on word 197.
You still have 2 entire days to do it. I wrote my dissertation in 3 days. Kids, don't smoke and don't write your dissertations in 3 days.
I love that. I want to go back up because there was some stuff that was pinned real quick.
Yeah.
Skywalking,
things got crazy
Sarah.
There.
We can do a skywalking, Sarah.
Okay.
This is before you took over with your pickle.
Apologies.
The pickle.
Wasn't. Yeah.
There was, I wanted to go back to Phil's comment. Okay, Phil, I got your comment about the canon, and I have it pinned for later.
Oh yeah, I pinned that too.
So I just want to let you know I did see that because I think that's interesting. I want to talk about it when we're actually recording the podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. That's smart.
Okay.
Pojo likes my pickle.
Let's talk about this.
I have never had a pickle in a pouch. This is something I've seen pop up on like YouTube shorts and stuff of people just eating pickle in a pouch. And when we were driving through somewhere, I found a pickle in a pouch.
It wasn't even just somewhere. It was like Boondocks.
Yeah, it's middle of nowhere gas station of some sort. And I decided to buy it and then eat it on stream because what else are we going to do on stream other than eat pickles and talk about Star Trek?
Can you put it up to your camera so people can see what it is? Because it's important. It says Hot Mama on the bottom. Pojo says the spicy ones are immaculate.
I really enjoy anything spicy, so I'm very excited to see if this lives up to it. Your endorsement has me excited, Pojo.
Okay, go ahead, eat it.
Oh, can I do it now?
Well, yeah, I thought that's what you're doing. Like, why would you edge people
That's
like
fair.
that?
Edge people with my pickle? Why would you ask?
We have boiled peanuts here. That's our thing.
I don't know about
I haven't had
boiled
those.
peanuts. I feel like you're boiling all the flavor out of them.
Yeah, what is that like? I would try a boiled peanut. Pickle in a pouch, is that similar to a banana and a hammock?
Whoa, it sure is. This smells insane.
I'm going to put your little moopsie. I wish... I wish there was a way to pin, like when I pin your comments for you guys to know about it.
Pin it.
There are so many places. We actually stopped in quite a few of them, and there were some that were very disappointing. This one was okay. This one was okay. It was a pretty big spot.
This is so big.
And juicy.
It's so big. There is
That
so
looks
much
like a
juice.
Slug.
There is so much juice in here
Are you
as
gonna
well.
drink it?
I probably will.
He should.
Should I drink it first or eat the pickle first?
I
I wish I had like a plate or something. Did not think this through. How do you even grow a pickle that big? I know they're just cucumbers.
You grow a big cucumber.
Okay.
Yeah.
It smells disgusting.
The girth of that hot mama.
Right? It's a girthy lady. The juice smells disgusting.
Does it?
It does not sound good. Link, smell good. Link, you're absolute filth.
Shove it in your mouth, man. That's not shoving. That's a gentle. Oh, God! Did you just touch the back of your throat? I don't know what's happening right now. I feel like this is the wrong music. That's too happy. That's Babs. This music I have loaded into my... Are you drinking coffee after that? What is wrong with you? Oh, what? That is so gross. No one is kissing you. Maybe for years. Why would you drink coffee after that?
Because I had to get rid of the taste.
Oh, here we go. This just did. Is this helping? Is this helping?
Okay. Real talk now, people. That tasted disgusting. Pojo, I judge you. The only thing nice about that was the heat. It's not sour. It is spicy. It's not good. That tasted like the plastic packaging. Like I am suspicious that has actually gone bad. I don't know if Van Holten's was ever tempted to sponsor us, but they probably won't now.
No.
That was disgusting. I regret spending $3 on one pickle.
Oh man.
That tasted so bad.
So
the only distraction is the heat.
I'm sorry.
If I could burp, I would be burping this out of me.
Thank you. Pojo just now says this.
Oh, you son of a bitch! You're such a dick. Oh
my god.
You got me.
I love you, Pojo.
Oh my god. So there are other pickle in a pouch?
I'm sure there's so many pickles in a pouch. I mean, a pickle is where you put it. So if you put it in a pouch, it's a pickle in a pouch.
This is not the brand that I would recommend. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
It's not for me. It may be for some people.
If they like microplastics, yes.
That did not taste nice. That tasted pretty bad.
Poor Ian. Yeah.
Thank you, Pojo. Thank you for that very useful information. That could have been useful yesterday.
You wanted to try that pickle no matter what.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I would have tried
endorsement maybe pushed you over the edge for right now.
Yeah. You could have told me it was going to be horrible and I still would have eaten it.
So what are we going to do? We're going to bury it next to the fish?
No, because it may completely disinhabit the back garden. It may make it uninhabitable.
Did you eat a pickled onion on the show?
Yes, I did. Well, I ate pickled onions that I pickled myself. I've so far only eaten pickled items on this stream.
The Last of Us virus, right?
Okay, right, so exactly.
We plant the spicy pickle,
100%.
Package pickle.
Yeah.
The pickle in a pouch, the pouch pickle, next to the zombified remains of the fish. Mm-hmm.
The heat is nice. That's a good heat on it.
Yes, he made them and ate them, and we all watched.
Yeah, you did.
Oh my God, Sarah.
Who's sicker? You guys for watching it or me for doing it?
You're such a butt. I remembered that it was there every single time I opened the freezer. I just didn't know what to do with it for a little while.
Oh boy.
Oh my God. Hi, Katrar. You definitely missed a little bit of a pickle situation, but we basically just got started. Thank you.
Yeah, you can watch it back and watch me not enjoy a pickle.
What were you starting to talk about something that we were about to spoil?
Well, did I?
I don't know.
I didn't think I did.
Okay.
Oh, The Last of Us. The Last of Us. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I haven't watched it either. No, I haven't watched it yet. No spoilers because I haven't seen it.
Did you have to pull over to puke because it was so disgusting?
That's amazing, and it was incredible. It was so sour.
You did that, and I had every intention of the next time I saw you, just being like, "Oh God, Ian, your breath smells." And I totally forgot to do it.
That would have been great setup.
It would have been amazing. A really long setup. It just had to just marinate, much like a pickled onion would.
Much like, I think that may need to marinate for longer. I'm so annoyed. I was looking forward to absolutely destroying that thing.
The pickle?
Eating the oh, my fingers smell horrible. Yeah, I was gonna eat that whole thing.
Where are you rubbing that?
On my kneecap. What? I rarely sniff my knees. I'll be okay. Rarely, if ever, do I sniff my knees.
Let me clarify why I was asking, because I was like, are you sitting in one of my fabric chairs that's just forever gonna reek of nasty pickle?
This is forever Ian's pickle chair. I
oh my God.
I don't think the dogs would eat that.
The dogs would eat anything. Rhesus has
That's
eaten
fair.
3 fresh turds
He's
just
eaten-
today.
actually,
He's fucking disgusting is what he is. Animals are gross. Let
Twi-
me tell you. And also the cat killed something else and there is a murder scene, but this is unlike any so far. He has advanced to bloodletting now.
Oh, he really
I should
has.
show you the droplets in the garage more specifically. I told you about it,
Yeah,
but I want you to see.
I don't need to see.
It is like
I've
evidence.
seen them. I know.
I'm using my knowledge of blood spatter from all of my true crime obsession, like obsession watching, to go, okay, so this is like dripping blood. And there's just these drops of blood. They're perfect circles and they're huge. And like, whatever creature this came from, it's just dripping.
Yeah.
And then if you turn around, there's this splatter pattern going on from like a good old shaking, I assume.
Yeah. Huh?
And I'm just like, oh my God, my entire garage section just needs to be hazmat. Yeah, just bleached completely.
Well, I imagine he waited at the bottom of the stairs because the last time he dropped a dead animal on the steps, we took it away from him. So he might be second guessing, why should I leave it somewhere else? Maybe they don't want it here. And that's what he's thinking about as the thing is bleeding out.
Oh my God, what if I could do this?
You could.
You
could
have
join
a mobile camera. I could probably figure out how to use.
Even easier than that, you could join StreamYard on your phone and then flip your camera and take it out there. But I don't really want blood
do that. I
on the
stream.
stream.
I don't want to show you guys blood spatter. That's gross.
Yeah.
Okay, my mom and dad are obsessed with this show.
The Dices are obsessed.
Everyone's talking about the pit, man.
I really want to watch it. Quite badly.
I also, speaking of animal stories, which we usually at least give you a little bit of, the other thing that I really want to do, but knowing me, I will never do, but I really want to, is I want to get a really nice camera and set it up on a tripod. And then whenever the cat drinks water, I want to take a video of it and then release like the slow-mo version and the sped up version. And underneath where the cat drinks water, have, instead of like the pad that it's on, put a watercolor page down, like a really thick watercolor page, and droplets of safe to consume ink. It would need to, because it's going to get on the kitty paws.
Yeah.
And that way, as he flings water everywhere, it will hit the ink and then it'll make like kitty bird art, you know?
This is at least a multi-dollar idea.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a multi-dollar. That's part of the problem.
I think it really is.
But how fun would that be?
I think it'd be incredible. And then people get to interpret what they see in the art. I would guess 10 pieces of art until we get a Jesus.
Oh, see, this is what we need. Now we have to do it.
Yeah. How it'll be the paper in days until Jesus counter.
Yeah.
Days like, since last Jesus.
There's like a bingo, like a bingo of like,
yeah.
And we fill up bingo all the things we're gonna see.
Yep.
We would have to see like a butterfly.
An Enterprise.
There you go.
I see them everywhere. Iris is starting to see them everywhere.
The Enterprise?
Yeah, that kind of looks like an Enterprise. Okay. I don't know if it was a cloud we were looking at or something.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Jesus, and I was like, really? I didn't pick up on that at all.
No, she hasn't seen any Jesus yet.
I could potentially do that. I need to make just like a little, Someday I'm going to get my shit together.
My cat doesn't eat other animals. He just goes and hunts the neighbor's chicken and then places them dead in the kitchen and then leaves it there. How many chickens does your neighbor have? Are you having to replace the chickens? How big is your cat? How small are the chickens?
Do they know?
Do they know? Do you return them? I have many questions about this.
I have not shown her.
Do you cook them?
She was there when we made the Dipper Prize, but she was so young, she probably doesn't remember at all.
I think she was 5.
And if I show it to her, I'm afraid she will want to play with it.
Yep.
And I don't want that to be something that happens. She'd be okay. I think she would be able to restrain herself.
I think so.
But she'd want to fly it around, and then that's when the nacelle pops off. And I just don't want that. I need to 3D scan it because I want to make.
Oh, we need it.
I want to get a 3D printer and then make you guys Derper prizes.
I love that we're getting answers here. You paid them for the chicken, and you cooked them. It's amazing.
So the cat really is providing for your family, although you're then having to pay for it still.
Cat is normal sized chicken, not that big.
Oh my God! So
big enough.
How does your neighbor feel though about the cat hunting their chickens?
If they're getting paid per chicken, as long as you're not killing the hens, because then you're losing income from the eggs. So I guess it depends on what value they put on the chicken in terms of loss of earnings.
The last thing I want to chat about before we start the show, and we're going to start the show here in just a moment. If you want to check the banner, I did want to tell you also. Well, actually, I wanted to ask you a very important question.
Who, me?
Yes.
Do it.
Okay. How did you feel about actually getting to go inside? I'm going to wait until you're paying attention because you're not there.
I'm paying attention.
Your face was 100% obscured.
To be fair.
You're like this.
Yes. Yeah, I'm doing. I'm waiting. Because I can't see the fucking screen because I've got this big arm in my way. Hello. Could I scroll this down?
I am doing a show now.
No, I can't scroll this down. Carry on.
How did you feel about being... You know what?
How did I feel? Okay, now I'm with you. I've done it. I finished the banner.
That. I don't believe you anymore.
I finished the banner. Do
You're
it.
a fucking liar.
Do it. People want to know.
How did you feel about being inside of a spaceship?
It was amazing. Oh my gosh. We did an escape room in Nashville. I was allowed to pick. And of course, I picked the spaceship one where the mission is to escape from a black hole. And this is by far and away
so great.
Best escape room I've ever been in.
I should get the picture up.
I completely...
Can I do that? Is that okay?
Please, yeah. I completely forgot that I was not in a spaceship. Like, there were buttons, there was movable bits, there were screens, there was a warp core in the middle of the room, like a very budget warp core, but it was clearly a warp core. It was incredible. It was so fun. Now, everyone succeeded the escape room
because... Oh, actually, I have a question.
Okay, we will put a pin in this.
Is it taboo to tell,
Oh, that's interesting.
Because let's say that somebody goes to this escape room. Is it taboo to talk about, a particular part of it? Yeah, because
this is a big spoiler.
It's a bit spoilery what happened.
This is a big spoiler.
But the really great thing is I've been in two escape rooms before, and the first one was kind of like a stupid experience. It wasn't anything to talk about. But this one was very fun. This was really, incredible. Really well done.
This was so fun. We won't give away any specifics, but the team working was great. You got to...
yeah, we could put up a spoiler. Yeah.
Fire lasers and whatnot. Okay, spoiler, because this is going to be in the outtakes. Spoiler here. Oh, no, because what about the live people?
Well, y'all... Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put up a spoiler alert, and then you can mute it. And then when we're done, I'll take the spoiler alert down.
Okay, that's great. Yeah. Okay.
You ready?
Yeah. Okay. Do we have Flyboy's consent first? Because Flyboy is the only one that has said no escape room spoilers specifically.
Maybe we could record the live show and put in the outtakes.
Yeah.
At the very end.
Or we do it at the top of the show next week, and this is a big cliffhanger.
Good God! I just wanted to talk about it.
I know, but it's a fair point. We don't want to, especially people that live near or in Nashville.
Yeah. Anyway, I will take this down because apparently we're not talking about it. But let me just say, it was a lot of fun because it was very spaceshipy and futuristic, and we got to take a picture. I'm going to show that to you guys. Let's see. I can get that. It's not a video clip.
It
would just be a picture, right?
Yeah, just a picture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Do you have anything to eat over there?
Why? Oh, do you want to change the taste in
Why
your
do
mouth?
you think? Yes. I don't want the plastic pickle in my mouth.
It's understandable. All right, here we go. I'm gonna do the thing.
Is that a no?
It didn't work.
You got cropped. The top bit got cropped. That was the
background. I was like, how do I just show a picture?
You got to share screen. Present. Now we're in the wrong place, and I've lost my... We're just in space.
The gorgeousness of a live show. Okay. So I have to show my screen.
Picard is judging you.
Ta-da! I'll try to zoom in. Look at this lovely group of people. Like, you can kind of see it in the background. Look.
There's some bits there.
Here's part of it. There's this, it was very futuristic looking. We're standing right by this warp core.
That's over there on the left. Yeah.
Look at that. And we did it, guys.
And you get to see how freaking tall Aaron Dicer is, who is crouching.
He was crouching.
He is crouching in that picture.
He is crouching. He always crouches. He has to. Anyway, it was a lot of fun.
Amazing.
But the best part of it was that when we first,
Right?
thanks.
It's amazing.
When we first walked in there, and it kicked right off. It was very futuristic and like with screens everywhere and fun sounds, and we had to like do this really interesting mission and work our way around the room. It was one of the best ones, and it is at the Grand Ole Opry Mall.
Yep, sure was.
So if you're ever in that area and you want to do a fun one, that's a good one.
Honestly, it was so fun. It was really I got to live for about 45 minutes on a spaceship. It was very, very cool.
He always bends over to try to like come down to, otherwise it would be like a full head height.
Yeah.
It would be, at Opry Mills. Yes, JCD. Yep.
There is something in the chat that I've missed. It started with Ian OnlyFans when. When is you'll be waiting a long time.
I do need a producer.
You do need a producer. And I think to receive Ian's spicy plastic pickle. Oh my.
That's funny.
Oh my.
All right. He just has bad posture. You're not wrong.
Yes, it's just how he walks around.
Just how he just lumbers around. Okay, you ready to get the show started?
Yeah, I'm ready. I wish I could see the freaking live chat with my mic arm in the way, but we'll figure this out.
Well, you know what? That's something to hope for in the future.
In the future.
If we're gonna create a workspace, we could create like an entire room and like do this whole like interactive thing.
100%.
Like
we could have walk calls and lights.
Do. Yeah. And then instead of being a beige person against a beige wall, I could actually have some contrast or something. Like, does it just look like I blend into the wall?
Yeah, yep. Very pasty skin.
Like, I'm just like right here.
Where did she go?
Where did I go?
Where did she go?
I'm just
somebody remove her from the stream.
Oh man,
that's amazing.
Anyway, let's go.
Let's do the thing. Let's do the thing because we got stuff to talk about. It's almost like we have a show to do. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab something from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched. Most important question first, what would you like from the replicator, Ambassador?
Wow. Why did I not prepare for that?
To be fair, neither did I.
Oh, what is wrong with us?
It
is like
broken.
We've never done this show
before. I do have one. I do have one.
I want an antidote.
For the poison?
Just take a pouch of preparedness when you go into the fucking desert.
Pouch of preparedness. I would like from the replicator a pouch of preparedness, please. Danae, please explain what is in the pouch of preparedness.
Sure. So first of all, it's like a bag of holding. So it can have a lot of different things inside of it, many things that you've forgotten about that are sort of just like floating in sort of magical stasis until one might need it.
So we are breaking physics. That's good to know. Good.
Obviously, hypo spray.
Clearly. Well, what would be in the hypo spray? You can't just like, it's not one thing.
Isn't that just what it is? It's just hypo spray?
The hypo spray is just this miracle. Fuck it, fix it, cure.
I thought that's what it was.
No, it has
you always say it's hypo spray.
Yeah, no, they load specific things into it. Otherwise, you'd just be getting jabbed with a needle. Sorry, I didn't load it with anything other than oxygen. You think the hypo spray is just this magical fix everything?
That's what I thought it was until right now. This is kind of like the whole 10 Forward situation all over again.
No, it gets loaded with like imiprovaline and antioxyhydrine and.
Well, then that's what the fuck is in there. Yeah. Just all these different hypo spray versions. So whatever you need, it's all preloaded in there, including a poison one.
So one hypo
what else
spray
is in there?
Is it like 10 vials or is it 10 hypo sprays?
75,000 versions of hypo spray, whatever you might need. Are you having an anaphylactic shock? There's a hypo spray for that. Are you meeting somebody? You need to get rid of your halitosis? There's a hypo spray for that.
Yeah.
Have you eaten a really disgusting pickle and you need it to go away forever from your memory? There's a hypo spray from that.
Tune into the outtakes for that. My finger still smells of pickle.
Tune into the outtakes for that. Other things inside there, obviously a sandwich.
Flavor?
Flavor of sandwich?
Yes.
Okay. I guess.
Flavor of hypo spray. We haven't moved on. Did you think sandwiches were just one sandwich and then it had all the flavors that you needed?
In the future, it must be a bit like the gum from Willy Wonka, where you just pop it in and then it's just like a multitude of flavor.
But we know they don't have gum in the future. We established that in Take Me Out to the Ball Game when O'Brien and Julian Bashir are enjoying the whiskey flavored bubble gum.
Right. I didn't say it was bubble gum. I said like it. Where you taste something and then it has whatever flavor you want.
Fine.
Kind of like they had a whiskey bubble gum.
Yeah, got it.
So in this case, you could just chew on bread and maybe it tastes like tomato soup or something. I don't know.
Why would I want my bread?
You asked me what's in my bag of
Give us a synopsis. This has gone way more off the rails than we ever have for an episode of Star Trek.
Do you know how much more room there is in my bag of preparedness?
So much. Do you know?
Just said hypo spray and sandwich.
We don't have enough room on the tapes. They're going to run out.
Raw potato,
I have
baked
no
potato,
tapes to tape over.
potato, twice baked potato.
We're going to start recording.
This is just reminding me of shrimp.
We're going to start recording over the beginning of the episode.
Shrimp kebabs.
Yeah.
Shrimp scampi. Water. There's also water.
Just lots of water in there. Is it in a container? Or is it just loose water?
What about you? What is it? What are you going to be doing in the replicator that doesn't exist in the show?
What am I going to be doing in the replicator?
I mean, making with the replicator.
Okay, there we go. I'm going to make some era appropriate snow clothing for Vulcan. Even though I don't know that we saw any snow, but he definitely got the right winter garb.
Did he say winter?
He specifically said like a snow jacket or like snow parka or something like that.
I didn't think he said that. I thought he said it was like just appropriate, something appropriate.
I'm pretty sure he got specific.
Oh, okay.
Somebody out there will tell us. Give us a synopsis, Ambassador.
In today's episode, which is Captain's favorite.
No.
It's one of your favorites.
One of them, yeah. Not in my top 5, but it is.
I thought you said it was in your top 5.
No, I can't in good conscience put this in my...
You literally said before we started the show.
Myself. I backpedaled so fast.
I stopped listening so fast.
Why am I surprised?
Today's episode, we learned that Ian's favorite episode of Star Trek of all time includes pet death.
Fair.
That's
no
it.
Notes.
That's all that happens in this episode.
It is not.
This is like a bit of a backstory episode to Spock with a clever twist that Spock saves Spock. And we get to see Spock's mom and dad again through this sort of interesting little mini adventure of a little boy Spock running off to find himself and kill his pet on accident. And that's all.
So sad. Ambassador, this is your first and our first interaction with the animated series on this show. Let's just get an overall, as the kids say, vibe check on the animated series. What did you think of it? What were your initial reactions to the animated series in general?
It's really interesting to see the older animation style.
1973.
This had a lot of Scooby-Doo-esque going on.
Yes, that's exactly what I pick up.
Yeah, it was very much reminiscent of Scooby-Doo, which means that I'm leaning into the delivery of like the lines. And all of the lines are very non-emotional Vulcan lines, except for like maybe 5 or 6 from Kirk and Bones, I think. And an Andorian that shows up. But the premise of the episode is really interesting. Like, I like the plot probably the most.
Yes.
With the limited animation available, like, you really can't do a lot. There's a bit of emoting. Like, there's a moment when Spock's dad, like, Spock has gone back in time and he's talking to his father, pretending to be somebody else. And Sarek,
yeah, nice. Yeah.
seems to react a bit and his eyebrow sort of arcs up.
And
that's the only indication that there's some sort of like...
all in the eyebrows.
Yeah, something going on there. But we do get to see some really interesting things with animation that you just don't get to pull off with a live action show. And this is the same for every episode that we've seen of like, well, CGI, but Prodigy, which is CGI, like an animated in that realm.
Yeah.
But even in Lower Decks, where there's a uniqueness to where we can go in this like imaginative space.
Mm-hmm.
So getting to see more of Vulcan, getting to see the interior of the house, getting to see like new spaces and new creatures. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We got to I got to see like the bird person.
And they are a legit crew member. I believe they're a historian on the ship or a science officer, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of the great gifts of the animated series, and it's one of the reasons that the writers wanted to come back to do it, especially DC Fontana of legendary Star Trek writing fame. That one of the reasons they all wanted to come back was they get to they get to write about cool planets and aliens and have all kinds of different crew members that you definitely couldn't do with live action at the time. So, and I love that they took advantage of that. Instead of having exactly the same crew, you have a cat person on deck, you have this 3-armed alien person on deck that kind of looks like Saru from Discovery, but with an extra arm coming out of their chest. You have the bird person. They really take advantage of the fact, hey, we can draw whatever we want here, guys.
Yeah. And that was fun. I like that a lot. It is a shift away from a lot of times I'll be drawn in to just look at the act, like watch the acting. And because it's different, like it's interesting too, because it's not like Lower Decks. There's a simplicity in some of the Lower Decks animation style, but they do so much more with the mouth and the eyes. They really get expression in our kind of newer way. And obviously we have more technology to be able to, do something like this. Was this back when they painted them essentially like on film?
Yeah.
And then they just ran it through the film machine?
Yeah, I'm not going to get any of the words right, but it was hand drawn and then imprinted onto
the film,
whatever the material is, and then animated and squished together. Yeah, which is why the Enterprise in the opening credits is like just on an angle and then zooming, like it's just dragged across the screen. So yeah, very, very simple, which is interesting because they had a big budget for this show at the time, but I think 99.9% of it was spent on the actors.
Interesting. You get the impression when I think about how these things are put together that it's so much about you listening to the lines and then deciding which mouth angle you're going to be putting in at which place so that it kind of matches the delivery, and that's got to take a lot of time. But I thought the sets looked nice and interesting. Like again, I think going into the Spock universe was really fun. When I saw that there was the Vulcan town, the circular town with the hedges in the distance, I saw that in the Amok Time?
Yeah, Amok Time.
Oh my God. Look at me go. Wow.
Although that external view, I think, was updated in
added
the
later.
late 90s. Yes. But I think, interestingly, that is based on this episode. Because there's a shot of Vulcan that we get to see in The Search for Spock, I think. And that is based on this shot from the animated series.
The continuity of what the storytelling is fun. There's some familiar things going on. I like that it subverts your idea that Spock is suddenly not known when they come back through the portal, the time portal, which we've seen. So that was another familiar thing that I was like, oh, I've seen that episode where they go through and they pop out.
So City on the Edge of Forever, that's actually an episode we've covered. So that was a fun callback. I wondered if you'd remember that one. It's fun to go and revisit that. That felt very Lower Decksian to me, to go back and further explore this concept.
There's so much of my brain that got to shut off of at the top of the episode because I'd seen that episode too. So it kind of felt like a bit like I had more information about what was happening in this episode than I have ever had before. Yeah. I knew that they were on the weird timey-wimey planet. The device that the bird person, whatever, was looking into, I think was a very similar device that they looked into in that episode as well, because they were kind of rescanning.
The tricorder? Yeah, it's exactly the same.
It kind of like an old school camera, they'd look down into.
Yeah, so the TOS ones were these black boxes that had like a little view screen on them, but they were still called tricorders.
That wasn't a tricorder.
It's a tricorder, 100%.
No.
It sure is. Yeah.
That thing was huge.
I mean, still a tricorder.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's a
Shocking.
little disappointing. Anyway, there's that I recognized that. I recognized obviously the characters, but then because I had seen Spock's mom and dad, and I had heard the stories of his childhood.
Yeah.
So seeing all of these things happening with the new information of him traveling back in time to prevent his own death, that was like a really interesting kind of thing. I mean, it kind of falls apart a bit for me that he does say, I don't remember all the details. And then he's there and he's like, oh yeah, I ran off to prove myself.
I slowly remember this a bit at a time as it's happening.
Yeah. It still was a fun reveal, I think, overall. The animation wasn't too distracting because I was just rapidly trying to type, because I think what sings for this episode the most, at least for me, is the cat that's suddenly entering into the studio.
The cat wants something. The cat is just meowing.
Is it your show? Here.
The cat is being beckoned. Here we go. Cat show.
Okay, what do you want to talk about on the show today? Yo, kitty. Kitty board. Meow, meow, kitty, meow, meow, kitty, meow. Hi. I was talking about something. For me, the part of the episode that just sings the most is the sort of conversation between Spock and his dad, Spock and his mom, Spock and Spock. There's just so much of like what I'll call future Spock.
Yes.
That's trying to influence the pain of past Spock. And it ends up meaning he has to sacrifice his own pet, which is just wild. It's wild to think like Spock's mom, Spock himself dies. So they pop out of the time machine and the time has changed just enough that no one recognizes Spock because he doesn't exist. And they find out that, and this probably should have happened before he started talking about the details, but they find out that it's because there was some scanning that was going on while they were in the time machine that essentially erased Spock. So he goes back into the time machine to try to reset it. So in version, when they pop out, that version, Spock died and his mom died. And then they go back in and they sacrifice a pet. And at the very, and the resolution means that everything in the timeline is essentially back to where it needs to be, except for this animal that once is now not.
Ichaya.
And there's Ichaya. And the thing that's kind of said was basically like, it's just a pet, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, Kirk is like, I guess that wouldn't really matter to anybody.
Yeah. And to him, he says, well, one small thing was changed this time. A pet died. And then the doctor or somebody says a pet wouldn't mean much. And Spock's response is it might to some.
Yeah.
So I think the idea is that a proper sacrifice had been made for messing with the timeline and the pet got it.
Yeah, and that's one interpretation. Yeah.
That's like, okay, the pet was probably going to die eventually anyway, and it's just a pet, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it was a really sad way to end it, tucked into all of this really deep, like, what would you say to yourself if you could go back in time and try to influence how people are being to you?
Yeah.
Like, all of that. It was a really, honestly, a heavy episode. It's neat, and I liked it. But the dialogue between Spock and his dad and Spock and just the depth of it all, it was clipping by so fast. Like, just profound lines about Vulcan culture, the way that Vulcans think, like his dad, when he is talking to him when he's a son, trying to kind of encourage him. This is before he chooses Vulcan. So this is him being, kind of like an emotional child, and you're seeing him bullied. And it just clips by. Like, you talk about Lower Decks going fast. This one also, although the animation style seems a bit slower, but there's just so much that was packed in there that I wanted to kind of like stop for just a second and kind of go, wow, can we unpack that for a moment? There's just some really beautiful conversations happening. But I mean, and that to me makes it a really great episode. I can see why this is a fan favorite. Yeah,
it packs in 24-ish minutes. It packs in so much Vulcan lore, but it isn't it's repeating a little bit about the relationship with Spock and his dad, but I feel like this is the first time it's really explicitly been said that Vulcans do have emotions, they just suppress them. So I think even back then, I feel like in the 70s and late 60s, it's like, man, why do we ever see Spock emotional if Vulcans don't have emotions? And I think that myth that Vulcans don't have emotions was prevalent from the very, very, very start, because Spock would always be offended and we would always like have to interpret what that means. And this is DC Fontana, who it has as much to do with Star Trek lore as anybody else out there. Explicitly saying this is what it means to be Vulcan. They have emotions, but unlike humans, they manage them really closely.
Yeah. I think I'm coming to understand that Vulcans do not suppress them, that they're controlled. I think there's a difference.
Yeah.
So he said Vulcans do not lack emotion. It's just that ours are controlled. And logic offers serenity. And we deal with them, the emotions, not to let them control us.
Yeah.
And that is not about suppression. That is about an efficiency system that means that with all of their might, they put it all into this logic filter.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's not about not feeling. It's about feeling like it's about pressing logic. So like even about dying, he said every life comes to an end when time demands it. Mourn, but only if the life was wasted. So they even are willing to mourn if the life was wasted, but then they're going to logic their way to go, was it a wasted life or not? Like they're going to look at that situation. And so there's a bunch of dialogue in there that kind of goes, these are sort of some of the frameworks for how we're going to understand the Vulcan people.
Yeah, it's really interesting because this cat.
The cat needs to go out.
Cat is crazy.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Sci-fi Flyboy made a great point. I love this. Kirk is being heartless and Spock is being sensitive. I love that role reversal when they're talking about the pet and Kirk's the one that's dismissive. And you would think that would come from Spock, but Spock is the one. It's like, well, it kind of matters to whoever owned the pet. And I've always wondered if like was that meant to be like a seed that was dropped for the future? Like, did they intend to maybe come back to this again and say, yeah, the pet died and here's the knock-on effect. This did have an impact on the future in a way that hasn't been experienced in this episode. Like, I can imagine them coming back for a third run at this.
I literally wrote in my notes, would this episode be better if they had gotten through that middle bit and they come out and Spock is evil because he lost his dog?
Oh my gosh, and that just sent him down a path.
Not his dog, his bear.
His
teddy bear. Can we just call him the teddy bear?
His Sailot, his teddy bear, his big old teddy bear. And that is obviously the big connection between this episode and Journey to Babel.
Yes.
Which was the mention of the teddy bear, which is such a to include that using that description and make it the focal point of this episode is such a great, that's how you do fan service. It's such a great way to not just fire a reference at you, but to incorporate that into the story.
And well, when I saw it on screen, I was like, it's a teddy bear.
Yeah, it was.
He said that it was a teddy bear. It's alive and it has 6-inch fangs. So we get to actually see the teddy bear on screen, which is, again, like you said, the fan service
I love
part.
it so much.
But you think about it, like that we got to see Spock we got to see little Spock forced into a situation where he had to make the call on a pet death.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this going, God, I am so glad that I am years removed from having to make this decision for my animals. Because if I had watched this episode at certain parts of my life, I don't think I could have made it through without like really sobbing.
It's a really heartfelt episode.
I'm not suppressing and I'm not compartmentalizing. I am logicking my emotion right now. I am channeling it through logic and like reflecting on the animals that I have had, that I've had to make that decision for. Did any of them fight something to the death for me? No, But
Would they have done?
No.
Maybe.
Okay, maybe one of them. I think maybe one of them would have.
Thunderstorm probably would.
But it is a very difficult decision. So even true to the writing of having little Spock experience having to make a logical choice, because the healer was able to extend his pet's life, but he would be in pain. And so, of course, the audience at home is resonating with this decision, and kind of like, you know, that's a tough thing to put in front of the audience, to say, hey, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to have Spock travel back in time and save himself because there's a timeline thing. This is really fun, but what's the sacrifice?
Yeah.
And we're going to sacrifice this teddy bear that was referenced.
I love it because it's something that I would say most people who have had pets or multiple pets will have had to go through. Like, this is the time to say goodbye. They're in pain. They're old. Like, that's going to hit a nerve with so many people. And I always feel like when you do like an animated show, you could have like less care and less effort. But this hits so many really important philosophical, like, just life lesson things. So having the opportunity to go back in time and guide your younger self, tell your dad some things that he could maybe do differently and to be kinder, and then like the letting a pet go lesson as well. It just, there is so much that's packed into this episode. It's like, honestly, it's a hugely well reviewed, well rated episode. I can see why.
Yeah, this is one that you definitely have to have in your character study of Spock. You have to have this one. There's a like little Spock is so interesting to watch. The actor who is voicing little Spock is doing a great job, because there's a bunch of just cuckoo words that he's spouting out.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And trying to kind of wrestle with being like the more serious pace and also the emotional pace. And there's this really funny bit where he's like, I have an appointment with my classmates. I'm going to go neck pinch them.
Yeah. Well, my cousin taught me how to do a Vulcan neck pinch. I love that.
So you can still see some of the spunk, like the kid spunk, because we're seeing the Spock before multiple things that he's gone through by the time we see him, which includes like an emotion purge or whatever, and these other kind of rituals that they talk about. So
the Kazwan, where you choose your path, either human or commit completely to being Vulcan. It's just great. I love what they chose to explore with this. Like, they obviously knew they were doing a Spock episode, and I can imagine by this point, like, well, we've done a little bit with Vulcans. Like, how are we going to approach this in a fresh way? And this is such a great way to do it. It really is.
We also saw some interesting things too. We saw like a little bit of an alternate reality where this Andorian was Kirk's first officer.
Yes.
And I was furiously trying to write a note, and then distracted by Twix, who literally came up to me, put his paw on my arm, and pulled my hand off of my computer to force me to pet him rather than take notes. And in that little exchange, I missed something. So there's a moment when they've popped out of the timey-wimey thing, and they realize they're in an alternate future where Spock does not exist. They go to the ship, they find some information. We learn about, like that Spock died out because he wasn't saved by what we now know as himself. We find that his mother dies, his dad never remarried. It's kind of like a tragic, serious situation. They go back to sort of undo, or at least figure out if there's more to learn. And there's an exchange between Spock and the Andorian. I think what I caught was that the Andorian was basically like, I don't know that I'm okay with this. And then we kind of skip over this whole thing. But
well, it's interesting. And it's one of my sins, but we can get into it now because the Andorian isn't in this episode much. But he basically says, if you go back in time to do this, that means that you'll be the first officer and I won't be anymore. And he's like, I'm supposed to be okay with this ? And Spock is basically like, yeah, that's the gist of it. And then the Andorian, completely on his own, says that would be hard for a warrior species to accept. However, the other things that Andorians really value is family. And therefore, I am okay with this. Live long and prosper. And I'm like, wow, way to just have a self-resolution. Like, nobody convinces him. And he's just like, shrug, I'm okay. Like, we do not have time to convince the Andorian to delete himself from time. He's just going to be okay with this. But my big sin there is that this is a multiple timeline situation. Like, they've mentioned this. This is where time converges. So this is just one timeline, and essentially Spock and Kirk have returned to the wrong one. So by no means is the Andorian not still existing in this timeline.
Yes.
Parallel to the one that Kirk and Spock are getting back to.
Yes.
But it's very muddy. Like, that entire thing is muddy in this episode.
I kind of, in some ways, am glad that it was part of the writing that was included in the final of the show to sort of at least somewhat address that Spock and Kirk are making a decision for the many about what is best. We, the fans, are like, yeah, we want Spock to be known, of course, and everybody else be damned.
Mm-hmm.
So in a weird way, maybe it's like, sometimes I feel like the writers get out their angst with some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's getting all the letters that are coming in going, you should do this with your episodes. You should do this with this character.
Yeah.
And the writer saying, you know what? We're going to kill Spock's teddy bear because you just asked for that.
Oh my gosh.
You don't even understand what you're asking us to do. You want the perfect timeline? Okay, then we're going to have to take something from you. So we're going to kill the teddy bear. Now, are you happy? It sort of feels like a weird... I understand that there needs to be like something we feel something deeper here. I think, again, the pet death takes away from the Spock, talking to dad, kind of talking to mom situation. But Spock as cousin influencing parents is what leads to the conversation we saw in Babel.
Yes.
You know, like,
it's very interesting.
It's just like Spock tells his father, to make up for me saving your son.
Yeah.
You need to just like be something to him, you know, pay attention to him, or like try to understand him, or whatever he says. He says something in that. And dad's like, that's a weird one, but okay.
You have my word.
You have on my honor. I'm going to try. So the Sarek we see is Sarek trying, apparently, and that's okay. I'm like, he's a
imagine how he would have been if Spock if that is a change that Spock has made. Imagine how much of a dick he would have been in Babel had Spock not done that. Would he have not said, "Hey, Amanda, you're embarrassing my son. Quit it"? But I think it's great that Spock also talks to old Spock, talks to young Spock about how his mother embarrasses him. And that's a direct tie back to Babel as well, because that is what she does.
Well, and it's a memory that's very like dominant in his mind as well, as not fitting in. But I think he's kind of reconciled with a lot of that through logic as an adult. And now he's talking to this child that he's remembering all of this sort of like.
Yeah.
But my point kind of is I'm trying to sort of like get into this idea that the writers, though they wink and nod at Kirk and Spock making this decision for everyone, the Andorian no longer being first officer, et cetera, that they have no idea the effect that it has. Like, what was the episode we just recently watched? It was a Voyager episode.
Year of Hell?
That was that was it. The two-parter, I think.
Yeah.
So just changing one thing all of a sudden wipes out entire civilizations. Like, as far as they know, nothing has changed, but you can't be for sure.
Who knows?
So you already fucked it. So, okay, now your mom is dad and your dad's out there somewhere. Mourn your mom. Actually don't, because she lived a great life and her life wasn't wasted. You get to come back, go find your dad and see what happens. Like, just carry on. Don't be first officer. Reinsert yourself and start. Like, is that not an option? Like, it's wild to think that this episode only kind of like nudges the idea that they're just going to change everything back real quick. BRB, we're just going to change everything back.
Just going to fix it, and we are confident to do this. What's interesting to me, and it does, the time travel in this episode is the weakest time travel of probably any episode in Star Trek. However, it's probably the most profound time travel episode in all of Star Trek, because usually the time travel episodes are a bit fluffy and it's more about
Yeah.
the adventure. This doesn't really give a shit about temporal mechanics because it has
No.
a story to tell. And
Yeah.
often it's the other way around in Star Trek, which is why Gene Roddenberry wasn't a fan of doing time travel, because he
Yes.
saw it as very gimmicky. But in this one, yeah, it doesn't make sense. And the Guardian of Forever is meant to prevent fuckery like this from happening.
I thought that I remembered that. I forgot his name, Guardian of Forever.
The Guardian of Forever.
Their name.
It is insane that Spock is allowed to beam up to the Enterprise in the wrong timeline. Like, I feel like the Guardian of Forever should have been like, sorry, Spock, you died. Like, you're not in this universe. Snap, I delete you. But their only constraint is, I guess if you go back in time and are very careful and nothing else has changed, we'll let you do this. That's fine.
But then the one thing that is changed isn't deemed large enough to
conveniently. And we don't even know why that change happened. We don't know. But doesn't matter. It's not what this episode is about.
It would have been interesting if maybe this time Spock left the door open or just something.
Yeah.
Our Spock, like, you know.
Yeah.
But either way, there's a lot to think about if you stop and just don't watch it just to watch it. Yeah. There's so much that you can unpack in this. And I did everything that I could to type as fast as I could because I was just finding a lot of the things.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's this moment when they return, Spock and Kirk return to the Enterprise, and the next round of people aren't recognizing Spock.
Mm-hmm.
And Spock says, I have come to the conclusion this is not a game.
Yeah, this is not a joke.
This is not a game.
Yeah,
I thought that was clever. Like, that's
I love that.
There's so much clever writing, Vulcan writing, and I don't know. I think I'm, as you guys now know, I'm pretty obsessed with. I can't say obsessed because I don't look this up anytime outside of the show, but I just think
you're on your way.
It's such an interesting part. Like, what a gift to try to give people logic.
Yeah.
To try to like genuinely understand what a logical conversation is. A healthy logical conversation.
Clearly they thought that McCoy was playing a game and playing a trick, which is definitely conceivable. Was it McCoy? Yeah, on the planet. Yeah. But then when Scotty joins in and it's independent of McCoy, Spock's like, nope, okay, that's it. This is real now. No one's fucking around.
Yes.
Yeah, I really, really love that. We did get, there's another scene I want to jump to, which is the kids bullying Spock at school. And I think this is such an important scene because we've mentioned this before. Like, at what point does logic kick in? And bullying feels illogical, it feels emotional, it feels mean, it doesn't feel very Vulcan. So again, this is showing us a scene that, and Spock explains it later on, like kids are dicks. Like, kids have so much to learn. Even Vulcan kids have a lot to learn. They haven't gone through the same disciplines. So it's kind of, again, giving us permission for Vulcans to be emotional. It's not just they're born out of the womb with no emotions and they aren't just as capable of being dicks as everyone else.
Yeah. It's like it's a practice that you like a journey that you give, but there is an element to it that is alien. So as a human on Earth, I think of different practices that sort of feel a bit Vulcanesque, like like becoming a monk, for example.
Yes.
I've never become a monk before, but I've seen it happen on TV, so it has to be accurate.
That's got to be it. Yeah.
But this idea that you sort of strip away a lot of the what's the word? It's like a scientific word for like an activation. Stimulus.
Yeah.
You just strip all of that away so that what you're focusing on is almost simpler.
Yes.
But you're still on a deep journey of figuring out what you're trying to be.
Yes.
So Vulcan reminds me a bit of some of the types of people I've met who are very controlled in their delivery or their life. They have like these very controlled things, but it adds on this like layer of alien where there's different organs. There's like a magicalness to it with the sharing of memories. There's something ethereal going on, which we get to see in Strange New Worlds with some of how Spock and T'Pring are interacting together, and they like the body swap stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Just as a reminder that
happened.
We can try to understand the Vulcan way, but we really can't, because it is this made up species that's really fascinating. But I still think it's just so interesting to see how the writers continue to approach telling people more information about this way of communicating that just distills everything down to logic.
Yeah.
And decide what you're comfortable with and not comfortable with. I think that the logical approach to the pet's death at the end makes sense. Like, that's something I think most people can watch and go, I agree, that was the logical decision.
Yep.
But maybe when it comes to the kid stuff, it's not very logical because they're being absolute assholes. And we can put it in the kid category of going, it's just kids being kids. But they still have a process, right? Like these species still have a process of purging that, or going through the process of trying to like gain control over the intensity of the emotion. And we're just seeing that sort of on display. And the focus of their wild emotional vibe is they've focused on Spock. They've decided that he's the easy picking.
Yeah, he is the embodiment of what they know they'll eventually be purging.
And another resolution to that is not only that we learn that Spock is also going to go bully them with a neck pinch, which we're somehow okay with that.
I am.
But we also get to have a moment when an adult interacts with him and says, oh, you're Sarek's son. I've heard that you're like a prankster. And
purely because he's human. Well, the association is worse than that, because I hear that you're half human, and humans have a propensity for pranks. There's no even evidence that Spock has pranks.
He did. He admitted that was just once.
Did he?
Yeah. He said it was
that.
one. Let me see if I can.
Oh, that's interesting. It's still racist. Speciesist.
Let's see if I can find it. Let's see. I heard that you have a tendency toward practical jokes, and he says that was 2 years ago.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I backpedal. I rescind my statement.
But the cool thing about that is Spock then goes, and this is what I was kind of getting at, is that the writers sort of address that it's not just the human stuff, it's that his nature, his character withstands. And they even relate to his mother talking about kindness and generosity, which is so fantastic. But anyways, he says,
I love that.
But has anyone told you like the son of Sarek is a liar? And he's like, he's like, no. And he goes, okay, well then I'm not lying.
I love that so much.
They give a little bit of a foundation to him having a hard time at school, being set apart, that going into the hierarchy of the elderly, even the healers that are on the outskirts. But then they give him the validity in that just one simple line, which I thought was really clever. It's just really, really good writing in this episode.
It is some of the best Star Trek writing out there, and DC Fontana, we bow down. The link to that is the conversation that Spock's dad has with him about, if you fail this, that's fine. There is no dishonor in failing the there's no dishonor in failing the Cuz one, but if you do, it will be blamed on your human side. Like you cannot afford to fail because of your perceived weakness.
It wasn't fail, it was disappoint.
Yeah.
Which is such an interesting thing. It's like he says, you will not disappoint if your heart and spirit are Vulcan, which is still a stab at being human. It was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He says, if you fail, he said that. If you fail, there will be those that will call you a coward all your life. I do not expect you to fail. You will not disappoint if your heart and your spirit are Vulcan.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, so you're right. It was about failure.
It just shows that it's an extra dynamic. It's not just Spock's dad being a dick. I think he does, from his perspective, want Spock to succeed, and he wants him to thrive, but his version of that is to commit 100% to being Vulcan. Like, it's just this twisted, like, extreme expectation. It's so interesting.
Yeah. Well, it's the only logical choice if you are a Vulcan, I guess.
Right. And that leads me into my next thought, which is just the animated series blows me away, because it basically, Paramount were begging for more Star Trek, but weren't ready to commit to a live action series.
Right.
Because they weren't too sure if they were going to do like a TV movie or a full-blown movie or another TV show. They couldn't really sign the money off on it. And Gene Roddenberry and Paramount were barely speaking at this point. So they eventually decided, well, we can invest in a cartoon show, in an animated show. But by this point, Star Trek had done so well in syndication that NBC were like, maybe we could buy this from you, Mr. Gene Roddenberry, because Gene had like basically complete control of it over the franchise. And that gave him a bit more of extra power with Paramount, who wanted this to be 100% a kids show aimed at kids that would go in the Saturday morning TV slot with Scooby-Doo, with Popeye, with the Looney Tunes, or whatever Paramount had at the time. And the writing had to reflect that. And Gene said, nope, but I will make a show. However, it's going to be aimed at grown-ups, and it's going to be mature themes. It's not going to be something that is just for kids. DC Fontana kind of bridged the gap a bit, and a couple of other writers, and we're like, we're going to do both. We're going to make adults able to appreciate this. We're going to take some of the sex and the romance out so that it's appropriate for kids, because they knew they ended up having that Saturday morning slot. So it was relegated to kids' TV while still being this elevated, deep sci-fi story Star Trek that we know and love from the original series. That's amazing. It is literally season 4 of the original series in animated form. So it's wild. We don't really hear about the animated series anymore because it was buried and forgotten pretty quickly. But it's so good. There are so many great stories in here. It's fascinating.
Earlier, Phil had a comment that said the canon of TAS. It's canon, but not. According to Gene, there are only 2 TAS episodes that are canon, and this is one.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's part of why it's buried, is because a lot of what they did was sort of a loosey-goosey thing. And before you get into that, I wanted to tell you that the other things that were airing at the time were the Flintstones, the Jetsons, and Scooby-Doo.
Incredible. That's what this would have been running alongside. It's for 2 years anyway. Yeah, it's incredible. I did know this. It's so interesting what we've decided is canon and what isn't. I can't remember what the other episode was, but I think collectively we've kind of accepted the animated series is canon. Like, I think if you ask your average fan, they'll say, yeah, it's the whole lot. They're not going to say those 2 episodes are, forget everything else. Like, in my head, from the books that I've read as well, there are books, I know the books aren't canon, but they do pull from canon. They pull from the animated series as well. So I think it's so interesting. I feel like there was a period where we were really concerned about that, and I feel like we're less concerned about it now.
Yeah, maybe, but it is interesting to like. I don't know that I would watch this series and with the same interest if it's not canon, and maybe that's just me being strange. But it's interesting because I'm watching, watching Lower Decks and knowing that it's canon was really fun because it's like, what are you gonna do?
No, you're right, and that's why I hesitated, because it affects my desire to watch the show as well. Like, if Prodigy wasn't canon, I'd be like, meh, whatever, I'll get to it at some point. But knowing that this is expanding a universe with permission that I love really, really does up my interest. It's so twisted, because if it's a good story, it's a good story. It shouldn't matter. But knowing that it is included.
Yeah.
And I think the reason I say that it doesn't matter so much anymore is because of branching timelines. It can be canon. It's just in a different parallel universe, parallel timeline, or however you want to describe it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting stuff.
Really, really interesting. But I do want to say there was to go back to the point about the dad. It was very evident that they're laying the foundation for the Sarek that we see in the future of the time coming to choose between human or Vulcan, not allowing there to be that duality in Spock. So a really, really interesting, someone in the chat said it, racist.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is wild to think that his mother would stay there.
I have so many questions about Amanda. I have questions about.
I feel terribly for her.
I feel terrible for his next human wife after Amanda dies. He remarries another human. I'm fascinated by Sarek's choice. We never really get anything. So in the Prime timeline, we never get anything more than it seemed like the logical choice. It's in the J.J. Abrams movies where he says, actually, I did it because I loved her. And that was his way of explaining to Spock, it's okay to feel, like we do feel. So, but that again isn't technically canon. But
it's just well, there you go. There's not the technical canon.
But it is because it's a parallel timeline. But and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But anyway, yeah, that we don't get a lot of reason for why he married a human, which seems just the antithesis of other than, I guess the other reason is that he's the ambassador to Earth. So I guess that as an experiment is, well, to better understand humans, I guess I'd better marry one.
Honestly, that was one of my first thoughts. Was it's a case study. It's a very close proximity case study. Yeah. So what a life,
right?
What a life that she must have lived,
right?
So we won't likely get that story.
Probably not. There was just one last thought that I had, which was just to echo back, the writing is so good as well. Just that final zing of McCoy being like, you said that I had to reprogram my tricorder to scan for an Andorian, and if I didn't know you better, that's a joke. And Mr. Spock, Vulcans don't make jokes. And Spock just like, times change, Doctor, times change. It's such a great little double, triple meaning line to end the episode with. It's so good, and you got to think that like Spock has a new appreciation for his emotions after this adventure.
I think the exploration of seeing his mother again, there's that line that has, what does it call her, Lady Amanda?
Yeah, my Lady Amanda.
He said Spock says this is after he's older Spock saves younger Spock. And younger Spock says the gratitude or thank you, and Spock says it was my duty. And then younger Spock says mother says to thank people, and our Spock says the Lady Amanda is known for her graciousness. There's just this like really deep part of like relationship that we as humans are going to place on Spock in that moment. Without making that character part human, I think it's just completely lost.
Completely.
Because we would be able to just say that there's just this, emotionless doesn't necessarily describe a Vulcan, but that's how they're perceived. It's really, really fascinating stuff. I think like Spock being able to say that he evolved with like the humor thing at the end. What he's reflecting on is interesting there, because he wasn't necessarily telling a joke.
No, he was
being factual. It's just that his counterpart lacked the memory to correlate with what was really happening. And so it was perceived as a joke, but rather than clarify, he just says times change. And it was that can mean so, like you said, so many different things. So,
well, and times change is the joke. Like that's the joke that he's delivering.
Yeah, that's the joke.
That's the in joke. So that's just
that's so clever.
The best voice acting for me is Leonard Nimoy, other than his name, James Doohan, who is Scotty and voices 95% of the cast in the anime. Like most of the extras are James Doohan, but Leonard Nimoy, I really get his voice. Shatner sounds a bit stiff. DeForest Kelly, a little bit stiff. Voice acting is hard.
It is.
It's not something you can just go behind a mic and do. But Leonard Nimoy, his voice, he nails it. Like I think he's the best transition from the original series to the animated series for me. Before we move on, Ambassador, I just want to read your prediction verbatim.
Oh my God, verbatim?
Because it was so good. Verbatim as I wrote in your notes. So not verbatim as of Ian writing it. Flashback, reflecting to the past. The good old days. Elder person sitting on a cabin, drinking lemonade, watching the fields, chewing on wheat. You all right there, Grandpa? I'm just remembering the good old days and the yesteryear. Bubbly flashback. We see a young version of the old man doing things. Sorry.
That is not happen. What this episode was about
it's
at all.
It's not what this was about. It was not about On Golden Pond either.
So no, it wasn't about that. And it also was not about the origin story of Evil Spock. So
could have been. If he came back with a goatee, we would have known.
We would have known. Or black gloves.
Yes. Oh my God, black gloves is so funny. Overall pips, Ambassador.
Oh man, I think I want to give it 4 pips because the writing is really, really yummy.
Yeah, it's 4 pips. It is yummy, delicious writing. As much as I love the story, the plot doesn't. The mechanics of the plot doesn't make sense.
The plot is what gave me a pause.
Yes,
because there's just this timey-wimey stuff going on that I think is questionable and problematic.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of older Spock having to save younger Spock. Older Spock getting to see his parents again, and that influencing the person that he becomes, and also influencing how they raise himself.
Yeah.
It's a really cool self-reflective episode.
It's great. It's using the mechanic of time travel to do something really important. Deep character work, something very, very important. Yeah. And it's 4 pips for me as well.
He got to teach himself the Vulcan neck pinch.
He did. Like the bootstrap paradox of all of that is incredible. Holy shit.
Had he not done that, he wouldn't have been able to save himself.
Yeah, because he
neck pinched the creature.
He saved himself on so many levels. Oh, it's so clever. And what other episode do you have Spock Vulcan neck pinching a dragon?
Huge. It's like a like what are those gigantic lizards on the island?
Godzillas?
Yeah. No.
Kimonos? Not kimonos. Komodos. Kimono is the dress.
Yes.
Komodo dragon.
But now I need to see a version of a Komodo dragon.
Yeah, Komodo dragon in a kimono.
What would an artist do with that?
Yeah,
mash up. But yeah, he just jumps on it like a cowboy riding a bucking bronco.
I love it.
And then takes both hands and crams it into this creature's neck, and it works.
It's
awesome.
Absolutely incredible. I just brought the image up on screen. I love it. It's an all-time moment. It's so great. It kind of looks like a lion's head.
And the fact that young Spock never knows that he needs to train to that level to be able to complete the loop.
Yeah. Because Spock doesn't, and that explains a lot about why Spock, like the lack of memory that he has, explains why this isn't suddenly coming back to him.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh yeah, that was a cousin. Wait a minute.
Second.
Wait.
Did he look like you?
But I do have some sins on that matter. So with that, let's head over to engineering for some sins.
Red alarm.
Nope. Wait. Well, we are animated. This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains, remind ourselves that no TV shows without sin, even our beloved Star Trek. In 3 years, that might be the first time I've done that without looking at my notes. Ambassador, you may go first.
I think the only sin that I want to and there's lots of them in the chat, so I'll go to the chat and I'll give the live chatters their due because there's some good ones in there. But my biggest hang up on this episode is that I did, and you confirmed it during the show, I thought that this Time Lord guy wouldn't let you fuck with time. But then they were like, not only are they, but then he lets him go back and do it again. He gives him like the pass. And I keep saying he, maybe it's they, I don't know. But I'm really bothered by that. I feel like there's I don't know that this could be written today. They'd have to write around it somehow. They'd have to figure out a way to allow them to go back in, because I don't feel like this would fly.
There is so much about the time travel logic in this episode that for me doesn't make sense. And this is exactly the kind of stuff that we sin. So the Guardian is supposed to protect time, but also has created this portal that you can observe time through. So it seems like they've allowed Spock and Kirk to fix the fuckery that McCoy did in the past, allowed that traveling to happen. But they've also allowed them to go back and observe the Orions. And they had the most twisted bit of logic for me is that apparently, because Spock was observing the Orions in the past, it meant that he wasn't able to go back in time and save himself.
It's because he wasn't on the timeline when they scanned. And when they scanned, it removed him from being able to save himself somehow.
Which is a wild mechanic that the Guardian should have been like.
That right?
Yeah, I think so. That basically the timeline photocopied itself when it it went through the scan, because the portal shows all of history for all time on a loop. It just keeps going through a loop. And while Spock was away, that loop played and basically copy and pasted a version of the timeline
It didn't have
where
Spock
where
in that time.
Spock wasn't there, and therefore Spock wasn't there to save himself. So Spock was still born, but the grown-up version of himself wasn't there to save younger self. So it's, I guess it makes sense, but it is such a long way to get there. And it's something that Guardian of Forever should have known and be like, hey, you need to be back before your loop starts again, or else you're going to be erased, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Wild time travel. So yeah, I would say in all the time travel, really, so much.
Yeah, I kind of keep playing that in my mind.
Also, the length of...
and I have a question. Sorry,
yeah, go on.
Quick question. Am I understanding that this episode picks up when they came back through the portal from the show that we watched? The episode we watched? This is a new version.
No, they've returned to this planet.
Then it's even more sinful.
Right? Even more sinful.
Don't fucking scan anything while we're in there.
No.
Just be still.
But
nobody touch.
But you can't stop it.
Anything.
You can't stop it. It's on a loop, which is why I think the Guardian should know.
Oh, I misunderstood. I thought that one of their crew was doing like research on Vulcan something.
Oh, maybe.
Because they said something about that.
Either one makes no sense. So them scanning activated it?
Med scanner set for Vulcan. That's not it. Nothing in the vortex. Someone else did. Scanning recent Vulcan history, 20 to 30 years. Any notation on sun. That's not it.
No.
Last time you saved yourself, but this time you were in the vortex during scanning, so you couldn't.
Yeah, so I think it's while it's scanning through time.
Oh, okay.
The portal is scanning through time.
Maybe
is my understanding.
Maybe the sin is don't use the word scanning. It's a little too broad.
Yeah, maybe the sin is don't make this fucking archway. Jesus.
Why would you ever just jump back through to talk to the Orions anyway?
Well, it's, yeah, of all the people, I guess you can study anyone you want, but yeah, it's very interesting. I just one of my sins would be like the most casual explanation of this planet when the Kirk is doing his opening log, and he's just like explaining, we've returned to the planet that has the convergence of all of our timelines to do some historical research. Like, it's so casual, and like the most important planet in the universe. It's wild that the Federation has it under their control, and I'm waiting for there to be an episode where somebody takes over that planet and uses it to fuck with everything, because it's right there.
I just want to point out, this is maybe not a sin, but maybe it is a sin. This is the line that I just came across in my notes. This is what he ordered whenever he ordered it. The wardrobe area of the ship.
Yeah.
I was like, there's a wardrobe section of your ship?
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. Y'all wear wardrobes and there's no replicators,
you go undercover,
right?
No replicators.
Okay. So it was a Vulcan leather soft suit, circa 88.7 Vulcan years, and a carrying bag.
Yeah.
There's nothing about it being...
There isn't the snowsuit. So I think when I heard soft suit, I was hearing snowsuit. Yeah. My mistake. I apologize.
Suit, whatever
Sin
that
on
is.
me. Sin on me.
And I might have mistyped it. I don't know.
No, I think you're right.
But I want to sin the wardrobe people.
Do it. You mean the people that drew?
They created it so quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm sinning that.
There's
fair. Just no way that that's happening.
I feel like they must have a replicator of some sort, like a 3D printer.
Something.
Yeah. But it's not a replicator, but it can manufacture things.
Even RuPaul's Drag Race gives them at least like 8 to 10 hours.
Oh, yeah. Or there's some advanced warning. Yeah, for sure. My biggest sin, and it's something I've only realized on this watch through, is I guess Spock doesn't really matter. Because in this timeline, the Enterprise is fine. It doesn't seem like anyone has died like on a mission that we know of. Seems like this Andorian first officer did just as well. When you have a new timeline where only one thing has changed, what you're telling me is that Spock didn't matter. Because basically everything is the same on the Enterprise other than this first officer.
Oh, you mean like our idea that Spock influenced
all of the missions that Spock has been on.
Point.
However many times he saved Kirk, however many times he saved McCoy, the Enterprise.
Yeah, that's a sin.
You are accidentally and unintentionally undermining everything Spock has done unless you tell us how shit this future is.
Oh,
Sorry,
God.
Captain Kirk died on the first mission because Spock wasn't there to save him.
Right?
Captain Pike died. Like, give us something else other than this Andorian is now the first officer. Kind of depressing.
It is kind of depressing. I don't like
Sorry,
that.
Danae, I don't like that either.
Let's see. Oh, here's a sin removal from Sci-Fi Brony. Says Ichaya, that's the bear's death, was written to help introduce children to and help them deal with the death of a pet and grieving.
It's great, isn't it? It's amazing.
It's really true, isn't it?
I love that.
Yeah. Just all the pets that were accidentally being poisoned by the rat poison in that,
it happens
that
a
time.
Lot. Oh no, yeah, I bet that did
Mothballs
happen a lot.
were just everywhere. Just basically people just lived in mothballs. I don't even actually know if mothballs are poisonous, but I'm just giving an example of all the things that we think.
Yeah.
We hadn't done the research to know what kind of plants you're supposed to have in the house, that kind of thing.
I want to know how many kids were doing Vulcan neck pinches to bullies.
Yeah, that's
and then being disappointed that they didn't work.
Mom, I learned this by watching the cartoons.
I think it's really messed up that the old Spock decided to let young Spock go off on this mission. And I started writing this in and I started deleting it because I thought, okay, well, he knows this works out. So maybe that's why he's confident. And then I started typing again when Spock himself says things are different this time. It wasn't supposed to be like this, which means it's a completely new timeline. So we'll forget about that. But he doesn't know for certain that his younger self will survive this trek. It's so dangerous to go yourself. Send an adult who will be more believed than a kid. Like, it's a very human thing that you must prove yourself by going through the desert. Like, not now, you don't, because this is different circumstances. It didn't seem logical.
Are you talking about younger Spock's logic?
This is old Spock's logic of staying with Ichaya while he sends younger self to get the doctor.
Oh, at the end.
At the end, because it's a difficult trek through the desert. And he's just like, yep, you'll be fine. You don't know that.
I think at that point, Spock realized that it was the true timeline because he had just forgotten that he had left early.
No, this is different because in the timeline he came from, Ichaya doesn't die. This is a new rub. So this is anything can happen.
Yeah.
This is completely different.
So when he lets himself go out, yeah, I think the better thing is to accompany him. Yeah, you're right.
Accompany him, or
just to make sure that he survives. Yeah,
young Spock stays
could still be attacked because would not be safe.
Possible,
bear is
but you don't get
down.
Attacked by those flying worm shitty things that attack Spock.
You don't know. He also got through those pretty easy.
Yeah, he did. That's fair.
I mean, it ends up working out because he proved to himself that he was ready to become a Vulcan.
And that's the heart of the story.
I understand that, but you're absolutely right. There's no way that old elder Spock would have the confidence that young Spock wouldn't just go ahead and die again.
Exactly. In terms of like accepting strangers into your house, Sarek is very quick to accept Selleck into his house as a relative that he's never heard of. Like, how many relatives do you have that you don't know? I think for a Vulcan, you know your family tree, right?
Yeah, but to be fair, he could kick their ass.
That's fair. Unless they disappear into the night.
He would just kick their ass. If anything, this should be shame on the cartoon for teaching children to just let strangers in their house who say they're a distant cousin.
They say they're from the future and they're distant cousins.
I can believe that Sarek would be like, no, this guy is talking the talk. He's walking the walk.
Yeah.
That's a really strange undershirt that he's wearing. That's another sin there.
He looks oddly like my son.
He doesn't know what his son looks like in the future.
He might.
But old Spock be wearing that uniform. He's just wearing a robe over. He didn't even change.
So funny. He should. That's silly. A sin. He should have removed that.
He should have removed it. Sure. Yeah.
There was a fun sin in the chat, which was just that Sarek of Vulcan is described as Sarek of Vulcan while on Vulcan, which seems very redundant.
Yes.
Would other Vulcans be calling him Sarek of Vulcan?
Yes.
That made me chuckle.
Yes.
Anything else, Ambassador?
No, that's it for me.
Amazing.
A lot of things. There was a question in the chat from Saruthi asking if all of the most recent episodes have been getting multiple pips from me. And yes, I have been max pip on all these favorites. I think they're favorites for a reason. So
which is incredible.
Yeah. And Wandering says that the predictions of Danae giving it a 0 or a 5 is in shambles.
You wanted her to break the scale one way or the other. It's out of 4.
4 pips?
It's out of 4.
Okay.
Yeah. But that would have broken the scale.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Would you come back to the animated series, Ambassador?
No.
Didn't do enough to bring you back.
No, and it was honestly learning that there's not canon, number one. That changes my desire to kind of watch it because I want to learn more about the world of Star Trek as I go.
That's fair.
And if there's something like I like that this one is canon.
Mm-hmm.
If I had been told this was not canon at the end of after watching it, I would be pissed because there was so much that seemed very like on brand for Spock's story. And I think it would have been a disservice to not have that one be part of like his history and kind of this neat little thing. But the rest of it, if there's not really a bunch there to kind of learn more about it, I don't think I would go back to it. I would go back to I would finish up Prodigy.
Oh my gosh, we need to do that. That's really, really interesting. It does make me a little bit sad, but I understand your reasoning completely. There is some absolute gold in the animated series. I really, really enjoy it. Well, next week's episode, I'm legit nervous about. However, before we reveal what that is, we've actually got time for an email this week.
Woo! And I gotta go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Yay!
I'm gonna finish this pickle.
No, you're not.
I'm really not. I'm gonna read the ingredients. How did they make this thing? Ingredients: cucumber. Pickles are cucumbers. I knew that. Water, vinegar, salt, calcium chloride. That's all to help with the pickling. Natural flavoring. That's so vague. Sodium benzoate. That's probably what I'm tasting. Potassium sorbate to prevent spoilage. That didn't work. Olea resin, capsicum, and yellow 5. Why would you color the pickle? Just leave it its natural. I mean, what color was it gonna be? Why would you choose yellow? Why would you choose yellow for it? Okay. Oh, it smells so bad. I wish I could tell you how bad this smells. I wish I could translate that. I don't know if I have anything else near me to read. I guess I could do the oh, she's back. Good. I don't have to vamp anymore. Hi.
I had to let the cat in as well because he was meowing at the back.
That's fair. Sarah, my favorite food is pizza, burgers, spaghetti bolognese, a good chili, a nice lasagna.
It was a singular food. She said, "What is your favorite food?"
No, food can be plural.
No,
food can be a group.
No,
and that's how I read it. Okay, Hailing Frequencies open, everyone. It's time for us to read your messages from Discord, Twitch, and email. Decided to do this week because we have 2 that are very relevant. Danae, where's my phone? Because they're both on my phone.
I don't know where your phone is.
Bollocks.
Why are they on your phone?
Okay, I know I've got them. They're in my brain. So one is a message on Discord from Brogem, who just wanted to say that they watched Journey to Babel purely because it was the next episode that was coming up on Captain's Pod, obviously, and it was their first time watching the episode. And it's a newly discovered favorite of theirs. They loved it so much, and they probably wouldn't have watched it had we not been covering it.
That could have gone.
Yes.
It could have gone either way.
That could have gone either way. It's like, fuck you for making me watch this. I love it. If there was one mission statement we had, it's that. I love that so much because it is giving somebody something that we love, giving them a reason to watch, because a lot of the time we need a reason to watch something. Like I need a reason to watch content sometimes rather than just taking a chance. So I love that so much. Thank you, Brojum, for that message. We had one more from Josh Zero, and I love this so much because it's so relevant again to Journey to Babel. By the way, I've also always heard this pronounced as Babel, as Ian said it. And the Bible story, the same.
Oh.
It is not where we get the word babble, however. The word babble comes from an onomatopoeia mimicking baby talk, and Babel is Aramaic or something like that, meaning the gate of God. This has been Etymology Corner with Josh Zero.
Yay! I love that.
Love that. Thank you for those messages. Send us more emails and also send us your favorite episodes. We have still got so many to get through. I still want to continue with this theme a bit.
This is the longest
such
we've
a fun
ever gone
theme.
on a theme.
It really is.
And I want to change it up.
You want to change the theme?
Yes, of course I do.
Okay, then it's decided. We have one more episode in this theme,
Oh,
and then we start
what have I
again.
just done?
And I've already got the next theme locked and loaded. Look what you've done.
Okay.
Look what you've done.
Okay, well, I know what I would do.
Oh, what would your theme be?
Worst Star Trek ever.
We're going to change gears, and that's going to be the next theme. We got two. You know what? We got two options. Email us what you like. The option is going to be, and we'll just give you the titles with no further clarification. It's either going to be Origin of the Species or Worst Star Trek Ever. They are your two options, not for next week, but the following week. So you've got a week. You got about 10 days from the time of listening this episode, if you're listening to it in the podcast feed when it lands, to email us which theme you'd like, Origin of the Species or Worst Star Trek Ever. Send your request, your choice to captainspod@cinemasins.com. Join the CinemaSins Discord, discord.gg/cinemasins. You can message us on Blue Sky as well at captainspod.bluesky.social, whatever they do over there. But
what's really funny is the chat's blowing up and I don't know which theme it is.
Right? They're just giving us episode
So I have
titles, which
no
is fucking
idea.
incredible. It's amazing. Some of them could fit in both.
Oh dear.
It's amazing. It's so great. I
Oh,
love it.
dear.
It's amazing.
This is going to be
so fun.
crazy.
Okay, so the episode that is going to close us out for the fan favorite theme that we've had. And this is perfect because this is the episode that has appeared on more lists than any other episode. It has been the most consistent episode to be recommended by so many people. It's going to be Deep Space Nine in the Pale Moonlight. And this is the one where I've been hesitant to get into it because it requires some Deep Space Nine background. The ambassador has encouraged me to say, fuck that.
Just do it.
Just do it. So we're going to do it. We're going to do In the Pale Moonlight, which is...
Oh no, Sci-Fi Brony. Oh no.
Season 6, episode 19 of Deep Space Nine.
I wonder how many people didn't get to do their episodes.
Many people. It will be a theme that we return back to. We will, we promise. But yes, season 6, episode 19. Okay, guys. Thank you for joining us this week. We'll see you all later. Now I've misplaced my exit. Bloody hell.
I've misplaced my exit from me.
I'm Captain Ian, and wait, no, I'm reading the wrong thing. I was about to read a theme that we never did. I'm Captain Ian, and it's Ichaya. No,
you're so
from
sick.
Me.
And it's human blood is in my line, and it is not fatal for me.
Live long and prosper. Pods and long life.
Pods and long life. It was either that one or I Am Home, and I had almost forgotten its beauty.
It's amazing. No, that doesn't suit you. It's way too sincere.
Apparently, we're doing one that some people think are overrated and lame.
Who said that?
No one said it was lame.
Thank you. I can understand overrated. I disagree, but I don't know that anyone is going to call it lame.
No one said lame.
However, I think this is going to be the only one that you don't give 4 stars.
It's entirely likely.
That's my prediction.
I have not really enjoyed Deep Space Nine so far.
No,
Danae, what is your favorite food? Sushi probably pops top of mind. Pizza, especially like a sourdough oven, like an oven
crust.
No, I like the oven pizzas. Those are super good.
Wait, what cauliflower crust pizza have you not put in the oven? How else are you cooking it?
In like the wood stove.
Oh,
like
you mean a pizza oven?
It's called
like
a wood fire oven.
It's called a pizza oven.
Wow. But I really do like sushi. Although there's or like a ramen bowl, where it's like the veggie broth that they've been
I'm gonna have that for lunch.
Putting together for years and years and years. Then they've got the hand rolled ramen. Oh my god.
I remember how disappointed I was when we went out for sushi a couple of weeks ago. But there's 2, and one place doesn't do ramen bowls, and one place does. And I got disappointed because we went to the one that doesn't. So like, I guess I'll just get some amazing sushi then.
It's called a pizza oven. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Worst Star Trek. I guess Danae is going to see a male pregnancy.
Yes, she is. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
God.
Yes.
CDR, what are you doing, man?
What's amazing is that episode was on someone else's favorite list as well.
Well, that's great.
Do you know? Can I tell you what the episode title is for that one?
No, because we might actually do it. No. Actually, what would be really crazy is if that is the transition from best Trek to worst Trek, because it's like one that is on both lists, so it's kind of a controversial.
Yes, it would be perfect. And I think it was Sarah Superior. It was on her. Yeah, it was on her list. Yeah, yeah. And it would be your introduction to Enterprise.
I suggested that next season we've been doing best Star Trek for a while now. We usually change things up, so I'm kind of ready to do something different.
I think this is just going to win.
I threw out worst Trek ever as the obvious choice because we just did best Trek, so why not switch over to worst Trek? Then the chat started to have some suggestions. I'm still not sure if they were worst Trek or they were the other suggestion, which was Ian's, to do like alien species.
Origin of the species. That's the title.
Yeah, so I think that there's a call for worst Trek.
Oh my gosh.
It is bullshit. Damn it.
Love you, Sci-Fi Brony.
This is why I shouldn't watch the bookends of the show. You know what? It's fine.
If I'd known that next week was going to be the last one, I would have included one of your Sci-Fi Brony.
Weird Trek, not worst Trek.
Weird Trek. That's interesting.
Yeah, like
there's some overlap.
I mean, there's some definitely weird stuff.
Somebody did email me. I think it may have been David Ellis that emailed me some episodes for Weird Trek.
Well, there was one a couple we did. I would definitely put that de-evolution one on the weird list. That'd be
Genesis.
That'd be a weird one.
Yes.
That one was unexpectedly strange. I mean, I think seeing Deanna Troi like in a bathtub
as
a frog is one of the most jarring things I can think of.
She just gasps out of the side of the bath.
And it was great. It made for a great moment. I was like, "What the fuck?
What is that?" That was amazing.
Oh Lord. Spider, yes, exactly. That was a really good episode, though. That was the monster episode, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in the monster episode.
Because it was Worf had like de-evolved into
a proto-Klingon.
Proto-Klingon. That is a great episode of Star Trek.
Of course, they make Riker a Neanderthal. It's one of the most disliked episodes of TNG, and I fucking adore it.
That was a Gates McFadden direction. Oh, that's awesome. It was so fun. That was a good one. It's so
great.
I can't bring myself to do worst, but maybe ones which I like way, way more than they deserve.
Fair. Guilty pleasure.
There you go.
Guilty pleasure Trek.
Oh, that's a really funny name for the season. To make it like a really long hyphenated like.
I'm not typing that out every time into the pod feeds.
Oh my god. Harry Mudd, creepy clown, Matrix Voyager, Threshold.
I know exactly all of the things you're talking about.
Guilty pleasure, hot take. Send them in the email so he can track them because they get lost in the live show.
Well, it sounds like we're doing guilty pleasure Trek.
Guilty pleasure Trek?
Yeah, nobody wants to call it worst Trek. Worst is very inflammatory.
Oh, interesting. Like guilty pleasure.
Because if we call it worst, then will people feel guilty if that happens to be their favorite episode?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a strong believer of fuck it, I'll like what I like. I don't accept your judgment.
No, I agree.
But I agree. Some people out there might be like, oh, that's my favorite, and they called it the worst.
Yeah. This
Guilty
episode
Trek.
sucks, but I love it season.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we could call it, instead of worst, we could call it suck.
Just suck. Go Move Along Home would be another great one. Deep Space Nine.
Guilty pleasure Trek.
You might be watching a lot of early Deep Space Nine.
It sounds like we're doing Threshold.
Yeah.
Actual worst, that might be a miserable season to do.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
I don't know, because I think we'd have to have fun with it, because it's bad for a reason.
Well, because worst could just be boring, and you're just bored off your tits. Just like, will this be
just
over?
Like every episode.
That would not be. Oh wow!
I was kidding.
Wow! I know that's not true.
When is Strange New Worlds coming back? God.
June? May?
I cannot wait.
Who knows?
I'm really missing it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. All right, for the record, we're not doing Code of Honor, because I don't even think Lower Decks reference Code of Honor. So don't even recommend it. We won't be doing Code of Honor.
Slab is right. This is what would be happening, is that people would be like, this is the low bar Star Trek. And I'd be like, actually, this is why I like it. Like, for example, because Sub Rosa.
Yeah, hot takes on why Danae thinks this is actually outstanding episodes of Star Trek. I was so worried about Sub Rosa. I thought you'd quit the show.
But what season was that? Controversial, or was that monster season?
No, that was our short-lived romance season.
Romance season. I wanted to do more. You cut us off.
Yeah, because I didn't start it early enough, and we had to get into Picard season 3.
To get into Picard season 3.
I think. No, I think it was Strange New Worlds season 2. One of them.
Did you watch the Strange New Worlds trailer? Ruthie wants to know.
I did. I loved it. I loved it more than anything I saw in season 2.
Was it Wandering? I can't remember. Which one did they change Quark into a woman?
Yep, sure did that.
Yeah.
They sure did.
You guys are great. Thank you for being here. We've got to shift out of gears. I am so surprised I did not receive a phone call or have anyone come over to check my air conditioner unit. So that means as soon as this ends, they're going to all pile on at the same time. So I'm going to go prepare for that by getting myself a snack. And that way I'm not a hangry person.
Heck yeah. Most traumatizing thing this week was me eating a pickle.
That was pretty bad.
Sucked.
For you.
Did not like that.
Yeah. You can carry on the conversation on Discord. That is discord.gg/CinemaSins. And then there is a Captain's Pod channel inside of the CinemaSins Discord where the conversations can continue. Thank you to those of you who are our moderators, and for those of you who are like here every week, Sci-Fi Brony, thank you for all the production stuff that you've done. We really appreciate that you guys are here every week, giving us your attention and your wisdom and your insight and your jokes. You make the show so fun. I don't know what's going on with Ian.
This is not true.
What's not true?
Wandering Winder says it was literally the first non-new release episode you covered on the podcast, Sub Rosa. And I don't think that's true, but I'm looking now because I want to know. Technically, the first thing we covered was The Undiscovered Country, but I don't know if you were here for that. However, then we go into Strange New World season 1.
I just can't wait for Wandering to be correct.
He's right. Get out. Oh no.
Wandering.
Oh no.
Who knows our show?
How did that happen?
Captain Ian, it's Wandering.
I bow down to you, Wandering. The first, what a record to have. The first episode of Star Trek we covered that wasn't because it was live was Sub Rosa.
Listen, it was in the chat
every
single time that we were live. Anything that we did was all like, you gotta show her the candle, you gotta show her the candle, you gotta show her the candle.
The first episode of Classic Trek we ever covered was Sub Rosa.
I know it was because the chat wanted us to talk about it. Y'all wanted to have the conversation.
And you're right,
happen.
it wasn't the romance era. It was just because we're doing Sub Rosa. That's incredible.
We officially need to have a website that kind of outlines all this shit. We need
the most
Wikipedia,
dumb statistics for Captain's
and
Pod.
We need Wandering to help. And if everybody jumped in together and just like co-tackled information about our episodes, it'd be pretty fucking fantastic.
Amazing. Our second interview ever that we ever did was with Aaron J. Watke for a show that you hadn't watched at the time.
Sex Candles for Everyone. Amazing.
I am befuddled, bestunned. That was amazing. Thank you for knowing that, Wandering.
Like if we ever sell merch, if we ever have anything from our show to sell, I think it would be obviously the Derper Prize.
Of course.
And then like our very own version of Sex Candles.
Yeah. And on that note, let's end the stream.
Have a good week, everybody. I think everything is happening at a normal time next week. So we'll see you here for the live show if you're able to make it.
See you on Monday.
And don't forget to tell somebody about our podcast so we can keep doing what we do. Bye.
Yeah, we do. Did I set the outro video?
Did you?
We're going to find out.